Hello again, my name is Amatayus from meetamatayus.com and spandatantrayoga.com, and this is your Uddiyana Bandha tutorial, part 2. In part 1 of the tutorial, I explained the effects of this practice both on the physical body, in the energy structure, how important, integral this technique is in controlling and learning about the sexual energy and its importance in tantric lovemaking, as well as the forbiddances, the reasons you should not perform this technique. So if you haven't watched the first part, please go back and watch the first part before continuing with the second part. This is the practical, how to perform this technique. So first, a demonstration. So as you can see, this technique is using a lock in the abdominal area. There are 4 steps to this practice. The first step is emptying the lungs completely. The second step then is holding the void retention, where the abdominal muscles and organs, everything are pulled up and in. The third step then is releasing the vacuum and inhaling, filling the lungs and holding this full retention. And the fourth step then is exhaling, taking normal breaths. And that's one performance, these 4 steps. I'm going to break it down now, step by step. So the first step, emptying the lungs completely. This is actually the part that most people have a problem with at the beginning. So we have some suggestions on how to make it easier. The first is to lean forward, placing the hands on the bottom of the thighs, not on the knees, but just above the knees. And then to purse the lips like you're going to kiss. And push all of the air out of your system. All of the air, getting rid of all of the air so you have completely empty lungs. That's the first step. The second step then is not to allow any air in, but to do what's called a false inhalation. So you act like you're going to inhale, but you don't inhale, and this is what creates the vacuum in the lungs. So the easiest way to replicate this at first is to plug your nose and try to breathe in through your nose. And with just very little practice, you can learn to do this without plugging your nose, just by blocking internally. So in the second step, we've exhaled all the air. We create this vacuum. And I hold this vacuum, this void retention, this lack of air, for as long as I can. Maybe that's 10 seconds, maybe that's 20 seconds with practice, maybe that's 30 seconds, 45 seconds, even longer. What's important is you go to your limit, and when you reach your limit and feel like you have to breathe, then you hold it for a little bit longer, maybe another 3 seconds, another 5 seconds, and it's that last few seconds where the energy really starts to move. During this void retention, we want to be mentally focusing on Manipura chakra. So you can imagine a fire burning in the navel. This is going to consume all of the fuel in the lower chakras, turning it into heat and light and energy moving up through the system. So focusing at Manipura chakra and feeling this energy moving through your system. Again, holding it as long as you can and then a little bit longer. Step 3. The third step is first to release the abdomen, to release this vacuum. This is important because if you don't do this, the vacuum is still there, and when you inhale, the air is going to go in very fast and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to cause any damage, but it will cause some uncomfortable feelings in the throat. You'll cough. Not very pleasant. So first releasing the abdomen and then inhaling through the nose, filling the lungs as much as you can, like so. And And then in this third step, we're going to hold the full retention. We're going to hold this fullness of breath, not necessarily as long as you can, but for about the same amount of time that you held the void retention. This one's not as important, but still important to hold this for a while, feeling the energy continuing to move up in the system. The fourth step then is to exhale, take 1 or 2 normal breaths, continue to focus on what's happening within your body, within your energy structure, and then when you're ready to perform another round. So I'll do one from the side so that you can see that. So that's it. That's the how to perform Uddiyana Bandha. A few other things here. How often should you perform this? So what I recommend is to start with 10 rounds of Uddiyana Bandha for however long your rounds are. So if they're 20 seconds each, that's 200 seconds of performing this technique, plus a few breaths in between. Start with 10 rounds and then begin to add to this duration. Also, recommendation is not to stand up in between performances, but to stay in this posture in between performances. If you stand up, you might have a head rush and you might fall down. So just to be safe, staying in this crouched position in between rounds, and be very careful when you do stand up. Then at the very end of all of the performances, stand up carefully, close your eyes, and just noticing what's happening within your system. In a few days, you'll receive part 3 of this Uddiyana Bandha tutorial, which will go into specifically how this can be used during lovemaking. Also, some other ways that this can be used, how we can direct this energy to specific chakras so that we can sublime certain emotions into other states of consciousness, and some of the traditional texts, what they have to say about Uddiyana Bandha. Until then, love and gratitude.